Hey, it's Wellness Wednesday. Hey. So it's Cherette, it's Wellness Wednesdays. I'm glad to be back in the studio again. This week, you can see I have my crown. So I made this crown for a very good friend for her blessing way, and I decided to make them because they make me freaking happy. So yeah, we'll actually talk a little bit about this in the show today. So I want to keep Wellness Wednesday for real. Okay. I'm not sitting here trying to be a guru of wellness because we're all babies and we're all learning on our journey. So I want to share with you something that is actually I'm having to revisit in my life right now. But last year I took a very big moment to create a sense of rest in my life. So today I wanted to talk about rest. Last year I was like super depressed. I was going through a transition and I was just fighting it, y'all. So I was like, no, God, I don't wanna. And if you know anything about being in the ocean, when you fight in the waves, it gets rough out there. You get tired, okay? So I was fighting the waves of life last year, and it hit me like, man, you need to rest. And so I did. I took it upon myself to get involved in a couple of different mechanisms of rest and really taking a look at it and seeing not only what rest means to me, but also how I can incorporate it into my daily life, like the benefits of it, and really feeling how I feel when I do rest, when I'm rested, the difference between how my day goes, what I do, and really being conscious of myself well rested and not well rested. So, a lot of times in American society, we are taught like, oh, you need to go, go, go. And if you go more, then you'll be more productive. But I think we've all seen all the new scientists and everyone come out about all the benefits of rest. So if you rest more and work less, you're actually more productive, more healthy, and creative. I don't know if you guys have heard about the 4-hour work week. I forgot the guy's name. I'll put it in the newsletter. But I loved that book because it really spoke to me in a sense of honing in on things and creating more space for things that make you feel rested and resonate with you so that you can work less and be more productive. So this was one of the first times that this concept was introduced to me. And again, I was trying to fight it. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I need to be working. And if I don't grind, I ain't going to make it, Lord. We got to make it, good times. We scratching and surviving. So I read the book and really it just honed into me that when you overwork yourself, it's not sustainable. Something that can be sustained for a period of weeks, but after that, it starts to create problems more than solution is the definition that I use for overwork, right? So if you're overworked, that means that you can do something and like do it and do it and do it and you're fine. And when it starts to create problems, that's how you know you're getting in the realm of overworking yourself. And of course, overworking yourself can just lead to disaster. It's like you can't think, your brain gets cloudy, you can't make decisions right, you're always tired. And literally, it can turn something that you love into something that you just can't stand anymore. I had a period where I took photos, and honestly, I love taking photos. It's awesome. I enjoy my eye. I have a really good eye. I see things nice and I can capture them pretty well. And I need to hone in on the skill. But when I started taking pictures, I would post them to like Instagram and stuff. And I let people start paying me to take their pictures. And I was like, oh, it's something I love. I'll just make money off of it, whatever. And people kept hiring me. And what I realized was that I like to take pictures, but I don't like the back end work of delivering it for somebody, um, because I just don't like it. So it took a hobby that I loved and turned it into me overworking because it was a process that just wasn't resonating with me. And so I put my camera down and I didn't take pictures for like a year and a half, 2 years. It's crazy. I'm just now like literally picking my camera back up. So when you allow things to overwork you and you don't take the appropriate rest, you it allows an environment where people can even come in and shift the energy of things that resonate with you and make you happy, and it'll turn it into something that just makes you tired. And so that all came about because it was the same period where I just wasn't feeling rested. So it was just like, oh, I'm going, like, oh, it's a money opportunity, bam, let me get this dollars. And I'm just going. So I'm thinking nothing of it when I let these people pay me for something I love. And it just leads to me being overworked. So not being rested literally links you to being overworked. And being overworked, just in general, we all know that's not a good thing. So in my understanding of rest, I like to put rest in two different categories. And I think we overlook one sometimes, but I think both are, I don't know if I could say equally important, but they're very imperative to a balanced life. Today I'm drinking kombucha. Isn't this cup cute? If you can see, it says Soca Brainwash. So I like to go to Carnival, and DJ Private Ryan is a DJ, and he always gives cup favors. This is one of my favorites, so I like to drink stuff out of it. Anyway, so I like to put rest into two different categories. Oftentimes we think of rest and we think of like sleep and naps, which are beautiful. You should never not get sleep and never not take naps. Okay. Like those are so important. But I think a lot of times we overlook what I like to call active rest. So, for purposes of Wellness Wednesday today, we'll say active rest and passive rest. So, active rest is something that you do and you do it, you don't have to think about it, and it feels good for you. Um, we like to look at things in terms of like hobbies. So, things like swimming, riding your bike, if you crochet, maybe crocheting, reading a book, riding, I said riding a bike, running, gardening, things like that. So your body is active, but your mind is at ease. And the reason why this is a form of rest is because when your mind's at ease, but your body's moving, you get this like flow of blood that's going and your mind's resting. So it creates this synergy with inside of your body and it really gets creative juices flowing. I have been at like when I'm swimming sometimes, so I like to swim. I love to swim. When I'm swimming sometimes, I'll have like vivid visualizations. I'll have like strong feelings and ideas come up, but it's really a moment where you can give your mind a rest. And because your body is still going, it's like pumping the fluids, the blood, everything's moving, the energy's moving within you. And it really gets this synergy of a thought process of energy going within you. And so I think that oftentimes we, first and foremost, don't take these moments to rest. Like I was just at the gym today and I saw people working out and they were like on social media and doing things. So in this moment, you're robbing your brain a chance to just shut off, right? So if you could just run on the treadmill and not like think about things, you're letting this synergy happen. But as soon as you're like checking emails or on the phone or like doing something where your brain has to cut on, you're missing the active rest phase. So this is a part of resting that is super important for health as well. Activity, motion is so important. it helps our body release endorphins and happy feelings. So a lot of the times when you are feeling tired, when you're feeling like your brain's cloudy, sometimes if you get into an active rest phase, it'll actually energize you. Today, before I went to the gym, I was tired. I was like, you know what? I need to take a nap. Instead of taking a nap, I went outside naked in the rain and it woke me all the way up because it was cold. And then I went and worked out to the gym. And now I'm like, Wellness Wednesdays. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm all energized. And I didn't have to take the nap earlier. I'm still going to take my nap though. And so that takes me into the second part of rest, like actual rest, where you are sitting down and you are doing nothing. It's literally the lack of activity in brain, spirit, mind, body, all of this. You lack activity. And here is the special kind of rest. Now, yeah, I can't say that they're equal, but I think this is the most important rest. I think that this is the rest that we overlook a lot. We're always telling kids like y'all need to go take naps. It's nap time. Why you just won't go to sleep? And then we be running around for like 72 hours straight with no real rest. Like you be going to sleep at night, but you don't even be going to sleep though. Like why are you so tired? Ugh. So we got to do better with that. Like naps are essential. Just like your kids be running around acting crazy, you be like, it's nap time. Like you acting crazy. You be acting crazy too. You be going around acting hangry and stuff because you ain't had no nap in 5 days. You know what I'm saying? But we don't pay attention to it because we're in this like society where it's like, oh, we need to go, 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 go. So this rest is the beautiful rest. In my mind and my experience, this is what I would call a spiritual rest. It gives you the chance to sit down, do nothing, and connect with the divine creative energy, which makes and encompasses all of this. Literally, the energy of the divine is the energy of creation. It's how all of this stuff is created. You, all this energy, the flowers, everything's created from the same divine energy of creation. And when we stop, take a breath, and just have a moment, we are able to connect to the divine energy that runs through all of everything. It's beautiful. And in my experience, there's not really anywhere else where you connect to this energy except for in the lack of activity when you're resting. And in this part, you don't necessarily have to be asleep. There are times when I just stop and I just stop. And sometimes I go to sleep and sometimes I don't. But to allow your body, your mind, everything to just stop and give yourself a moment, you connect to the energy and it makes everything else a little easier to create around you. I look at life as like my own little force field, right? Like you can have all of this extra activity outside of your personal force field. But within your personal force field, if you can maintain a energy of love, divine purpose, relaxation, rest, then that's your bubble. There's nothing that can penetrate that to make you anything else of what is exterior of what you are. And why rest is so important for that is because it gives you time to stop and really see what's important, what's working. You can now think, you can now be, and in the moment of where you can just be is where we recharge. So I went into my next thing, why rest is important. So all of what I just said, but if you're spiritual at all, you know that the divine energy that created rest for us. It's in the Bible and all these books we read about spirit, right? The divine energy that created the world was like, yo, I'm gonna work, but I'm gonna rest. And the reason why they have both is because both is where order is created. So you can't have order if you don't have rest. You can't keep going and still have order. It's nearly impossible. Everything starts to just come together and it's like, ah, right? So rest is our spiritual birthright. It's how we connect to spiritual order. And when we bring that into our life, everything starts to align and life becomes divine. And that is something that you are going to get only from your place of rest. There's nowhere else where you can connect to this stuff, guys. Like, you have to just stop, take a breath, and connect. And for me, that brings up moments of devotion. I think that a lot of the times we talk about devotion in this sense of devoting ourselves to a higher being, a higher power, right? But in my experience, if I am the child of God, that means I am God. And in order to connect to God, I have to connect within myself. So it's like a circular thing, right? So in order to devote myself to this creative being, this, universal energy, I have to devote myself to me first. I have to go within. And rest is devotion to yourself. It is your way of saying, I love myself enough, I'm devoted to myself enough to stop, to give myself a moment to rest. It is divinely beautiful. But once we devote ourselves back to that, like I call it a natural original state, that's where we get to the point where we can love ourselves regardless of everything that's going on. I can love myself regardless when I'm rested. It seems easier when my brain is rested. So I use rest as moments of devotion. A lot of times also gratitude. Like before I take naps, sometimes I like to be like, you know what? Let me think about things that I like that's going on in my life. Let me have a moment of gratitude. And so what that does for me is it puts my spirit and my energy in a gratitude moment before I take this divine rest. And there I am healing. So rest is also our healing space, right? And it heals us in multiple dimensions, not just one. This kombucha is good. I think it's like mint and lemongrass or something. Eucalyptus. It's mint and eucalyptus. So where was I at? Resting. So resting is our healing space, right? So in the state of rest, we can heal on multiple levels. So on a mental level, you can stop brain chatter. And why that is such an important mechanism of healing is because your brain chatter stays with you all the freaking time. And we just have to slow it down because if you took your brain chatter, I read a book that I love called Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. And one of the things that resonated with me from this book was the simple exercise of taking brain chatter and making it um, an exterior experience. So say, for instance, you meet somebody out somewhere and you get their number and you're like, oh my God, I love this person. Like, you didn't send me the one, I just feel all the butterflies. And you don't hear from this person for 3 days. They was like, yo, I'm gonna call you back tomorrow. We gonna link, like, we gonna get together. So 3 days goes by. And what does your brain tell you? Your brain be like, oh, they was lying. They ain't about nothing. They don't even care. Why would you waste my time? What did I do wrong? Was it what I had on? I mean, y'all, come on. Like, your brain be saying all of everything, right? So if you take all of this chatter and you take it like it was a person outside of yourself. So say, for instance, this happened to you and I was your friend and I said all this crazy shit to you about this person who you liked who didn't call you in 3 days. I was like, girl, that person ain't nothing. They don't care about you. Like, you need to just move on. I don't even know why you still around here. You probably was looking kind of fat when you was going up there. Like, saying all this crazy stuff. And then on day 3, you get a call and you're like, my bad, my dog was in an accident, or, my nephew, I needed to keep them for 3 days. Whatever the reason is that they can call you, that was legitimate. Whatever. It's not a big deal. We can go off on communication, whatever, but it's not a big deal. No, there was something that needed tended to, and they went and tended to it. If I told you that and that's what happened, you would come back to me like, girl, why would you tell me all those crazy things? You had me hyped up and it was nothing wrong. You would be questioning me like, why you always so negative to me? Like, as soon as something go on, you so negative. And you wouldn't want to be my friend anymore because I would be negative Nancy. And it would change your experience of a lot of things because I'm just so negative. It's peculiar how we can see the correlation between if someone was in our lives and doing that, but we, for some reason, can't see the correlation in our brain chatter. We let our brain go crazy and we believe it. So in the grand scheme of things, when you rest, you quiet that chatter down. And when you have a quiet brain chatter, you're actually now thinking. You come out of the victim role and you understand that nothing's happening to you. We're just experiencing this on a spiritual level and everything is just going. And in that same book, The Untethered Soul, he says that when things happen to us and we can detach from our brain chatter, things will not have emotional imprints on us. Meaning something can happen and it's just like trees on the highway. You notice how green the trees are, you notice how they bloom, and you just let them go. And that is the mental part that happens when we rest. You're able to just experience, and your brain is just like, okay, like you're not attaching emotions to any of these things that are happening outside of you. That's how a rested brain functions. And mentally, that's the most healthy that we can get. You see what I'm saying? So that's on a mental level. On a spiritual level, I got into that earlier. I kind of got ahead of myself. But on a spiritual level, when you rest, you're connecting to the divine creation energy. And when you do that, you can now live in your divine purpose. So every time you go to sleep, every time you take a breath, especially when we're out in nature, guys, nature is amazing to connect with. But when you're taking that rest, you're able to literally link up on another plane of existence on a spiritual level with the divine creation energy. And now it's flowing within you and you can live your life abundance in it. I'm talking about you just swimming in it. Y'all like, you know what I'm saying? So you're able to connect and have that moment in your place of rest. And on a physical level, this rest is where muscles are healing. Now, this is more on the passive relaxation, the passive rest, right? So when your body is void of activity, say you were in the garden, you were working out. When we do stuff, it creates little micro tears on our muscles. And we have to give our body a chance to go and repair and heal that. So literally your muscles need to rest. It's why any good trainer will tell you, you got legs day, arms day, and rest day, and don't skip your rest day. because your body literally needs to heal itself in between activity. And excuse me, going back to that tissue, we regenerate tissue in our rest. So at the state of rest, your tissue is literally regenerating. And y'all already know that we need to regenerate tissue because we're constantly losing it. And so another thing that I love from that process is you get relief from healthy inflammation. Now, if you have inflammation from other things, and when I say healthy inflammation, inflammation is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Inflammation means that something happened to your body and your body is like, yo, we're going to inflame right here because we need to heal it. So inflammation is literally part of the healing process. And so when you feel that inflammation, when you rest, it's actually a time to release it and relieve it. So those are like in my life, how healing space is created through rest. Now, last year, I decided to take my ass on a rest, okay? I was going through a lot of transitioning. I was getting new on a journey, and it was a lot. So what I learned a lot of resources to help me rest. And so I wanted to share them with you guys. The first one is restorative yoga. So restorative yoga is just how it sounds. Like, it literally restores you. So it's not like heaty, like hot yoga or like fitnessy, but like a lot of the times it's slow motions. You might hold the poses a little longer. And at the end, you just lay down and you take in all of that restorativeness. And it was magical when I started restorative yoga because it was the first time that I incorporated active and passive rest together. And it just like released a lot within me. Restorative yoga was so beneficial. Well, it is so beneficial. I still do it. Another thing that I love is sound baths. Y'all, if you have not had a sound bath, get with your life because it relaxes you on a molecular level. Y'all see how I got that word? I'm smart. So on a molecular level, energetically, a sound bath really just brings the energy down and it really helps you rest and relax. Like I haven't felt as relaxed as I have on a sound bath in a long time, y'all. Naps. I don't even have to explain to you. Go take your ass to sleep. If you have trouble with naps, one of the things that I love to help me with naps is sleep hurts. HERTZ. Sleep hurts will get your ass in a 20-minute nap and you wake up and you feel like you had an hour nap. So it gets you in that deep sleep realm really quick so that you can come up out of it and feel like totally rested. Another thing that helps me rest is getting out in nature and just sitting in it and breathing like, oh, all the fresh air. That helps me. And the last, well, I won't say the last, but one of the biggest ways excuse me, y'all. Let me take a sip. Excuse me. Travel and vacation. Getting gone and experiencing something new. We talked about this last week, but when you're able to get away from your everyday environment, you're typically able to shut your brain off easier. There's something about the new experiences, y'all. Like you just really are able to chill it out, in my experience. So those are the ways that I have incorporated rest in my life. I wanted to revisit this topic today in my life because I'm at a period of transition and I need to take a rest. I've been feeling like I've been going a lot. I haven't been as productive. And I had to really say to myself the other day, it's time for rest and be okay with it. So when you're feeling like you need rest, don't feel any kind of way about it. Just take your rest. All right. Sign up for my newsletter and I'm going to give you guys resources www.justbehealthynow.com, and I'm going to send you resources for sound baths. There's a great organization called the Nap Ministries. Y'all, literally, it's a church, but it's the Church of Napping, and it has changed my life. Just want to, real quick, before I get off, read you guys a quote from the Nap Ministries, and I thought this was so appropriate for today. It's by Trisha, and she says, how can we access pleasure and joy and liberation if we're too tired to experience it? How can we access pleasure and joy and liberation if we're too tired to experience it? I think that wraps up the show, guys. So this week, make sure you guys get your rest, all right? And I will see you guys next week. Same time, same place, all right? See you guys. Love you.